What's up, investors? It's the Russian dude. Some of you already know that I was in the Russian army back in 2012 to 2015, but previously I only mentioned this as a fact that yes, I was in the army. What I did not previously talk about is my experience there, things that I did, learned, that I was taught, and how useful were they for a regular soldier. I went through the whole 2 years course of military translators, earned a rank of lieutenant, and experienced the regular army, the officer part of it, studied in the classroom, marched with hundreds of other soldiers, and even shot an AK. So here is my quick story about my time in the Russian military, things that I learned, mostly useless ones, and my honest opinion about the state of the Russian military. The military service in Russia is mandatory. You either go to the actual military or you study for as long as possible, so you can't be conscripted. Going to the military is not considered something to be proud of in Russia. The stereotype is that you are either not smart enough, not rich enough, or you are lazy to find options to avoid the conscription. But some people, they just do join the army just so they don't need to spend years of their lives running away and hiding. You waste 1 or 2 years of your life just so you can focus on building your future in peace. However, there is a third option. Some universities, they have military classes. Attending them qualifies as serving in the military. Mostly these are officer-related classes, mainly dealing with the paperwork, translations, intelligence and so on. But in the end, you still have to go to the actual military field course, live in the barracks, march, shoot and some more traditional military-related activities, if you can call them like this. After finishing the entire 3 years course, you receive the lowest officer rank, lieutenant in my case, and you are placed in military reserve. And that's exactly what I did. The first year we had 1 military class per week. Years 2 and 3, we had the entire day dedicated to military studies, so the girls from our group were very thankful because this was a free day for them. We were studying maps, drawing them, learning the military equipment and vehicles of the Western armies, learning interrogation techniques and military translation, lots of military translation. And after graduating from the university, we still had couple months left to finish the military training. This is when we are sent to the actual field training. Upon arrival, we receive old uniforms and almost immediately taught how to properly make our beds. Things must be perfect, pillow to pillow, blanket to blanket, lines should match, the soap has to be on one side, towel on another, toothbrush, toothpaste somewhere else. Every single item had its own place, and if things are not perfect, you might receive a warning, quote-unquote, from your officer. Your entire day is scheduled literally minute by minute. There is not much time to think, and the orders are given with the sense of pressure and urgency, so you don't even think about questioning them. Your entire day is separated from breakfast to lunch to dinner. These are the things you are most excited about. And of course going to sleep, because you're dead tired in the end, and when your biggest desire are just food and sleep, guess what happens? This is almost living like an animal. Give such person a food and a place to sleep, and the brain and character of such person is yours to shape in any way you want it. During these times, there was not much military activity going outside of Russia. The annexation of Crimea happened quickly and relatively in silence, so not too many people, even in the army, were talking about it. I can only imagine the level of propaganda young Russians are going through right now. When your brain and mental capacity are at very absorbing levels, it is so easy to invoke the feelings of hatred towards an external enemy, no matter who that is. That could be precisely the reason why young conscripts allow themselves to be sent fighting in Ukraine, thinking that they are doing the right thing, and that their comrades will always help them achieve mutual victory. All this illusion is obliterated by the very first artillery strike, whenever they are trying to hide inside a cold trench full of water. But yeah, back to my military experience. The main goal here of the officers is to train immense discipline of these soldiers. So they execute the orders, don't ask questions, and don't think much of consequences. I am a relatively rebellious person in nature, but even I was absolutely comfortable following even the most ridiculous orders as I see them right now. And the reason why the entire day is planned for you, everything has its place, and the bed has to be made in a certain way, is once again so you just simply stop thinking, because intrusive thoughts is army's worst enemy. That's why, even if you have a free minute and an officer sees you doing nothing, they can give you something absolutely ridiculous assignments. Something like coloring grass in green during summer, shoveling water from the puddles using shovels or brooms, moving snow piles from one place to another, or something as trivial as cleaning and shining your boots or repairing the uniform. The idea here, as you can see, is the same. Do not leave any time for thinking. And these crazy assignments lead to a very interesting but logical paradox. A lot of Russian soldiers smoke. The first idea you might have is because they have huge stress that they go through, which is also a very real reason. But another reason why soldiers would start smoking, even if they were non-smokers before the military, is to avoid doing these meaningful assignments. For some reason, Russian officers consider smoking break as something sacred. Of course, you cannot exaggerate, but when a group of people is smoking together, the officer will leave them alone, or ask for anyone who is not smoking. And usually, this person receives one of these stupid assignments. That's exactly the reason why so many Russians start smoking in the army. Now to the actual military-related things. Our officer courses did not end up making us super soldiers. After all, we are not supposed to be fighting along the front lines. This was more an office type of job that we were being prepared for. Because of this, we did not have much physical training. It was mostly marching, walking, running, morning and evening stretches, and that's pretty much it. There was a so-called sports weekend where guys were competing who can do more push-ups, pull-ups, who can run the fastest, the tug of war and similar activities. But participating in it was not mandatory. This was just a so-called fun weekend. And another interesting thing is that in the Russian military you cannot take an oath and swear allegiance without shooting from a real gun first. And that's what all of us did. Just once. 5 bullets. That was our entire shooting practice in 3.5 years of army experience. And yeah, I'm sure if you go to the actual military intended for the infantry, for example, there is way more training and shooting involved, but it still does not change the fact that a big portion of Russian soldiers are absolutely not prepared for an actual combat experience, neither mentally nor physically. And even if these young officers are not forced into trenches as well due to severe lack of personnel, they will be the ones issuing orders to the soldiers. And what kind of orders can they give? Not having absolutely any experience of the real military. So no wonder what we see right now is the complete incompetence of the Russian military commanders during this Ukrainian war. They go by the book, which in reality modern warfare is significantly different from those books written in the 60s and the 80s. Even 10 years ago things were so different. It is so much about drones and robots right now, not the meat assaults Stalin loved so much. So, when you think about all that, it makes perfect sense why the casualties of the Russian military in Ukraine are so high, while the progress is practically non-existent. There is a stalemate right now along the front lines, but the losses are higher than during the most intense months of war. And by the end of all this quote-unquote experience, all of us are brought to the major square, our parents arrive, the representatives from the university, the representatives of the military arrive, we are marching, our uniform and boots are squeaky clean, we sing military songs, in the end we swear the allegiance and that's pretty much it. The very same day, all of us are being brought inside the buses, then they bring us back to our cities, where we go back to the university, we study a little bit more, and then there is an actual general examination, where once again representatives of the military, of the university are sitting, and mostly you are doing once again written and oral exams. It is either answering questions about the military-related things, a lot of, once again, translation, interrogation techniques, then they can ask you also what's the composition, what's the structure of some Western military equipment, such as, for example, American US Abrams tanks, and things like this. This is the final examination, and as soon as everyone passes, if I'm not mistaken, I think yes, all of us did pass, even though the ones who were not studying that much. And then that's it, they just literally bring us outside, behind the university, our military officer who was training us the whole time, he's saying, congratulations guys, now you are the officers of the Russian army, you are in the reserve, we just say serve the Russian Federation, and that's pretty much the end of the whole service. The things that were understandable is once again the build of the discipline, build of the teamwork, and the creation of camaraderie where you can help people no matter who they are. You just coexist as one big group of people. But obviously such things like useless assignments, ironing your uniform, putting this white thing every single day behind this thing which is touching your neck in the back of uniform, so like every single day you have to replace it, sew another one, like these things were relatively not understandable even until now. The only purpose what I see right now is once again to train the discipline and for the soldiers to stop thinking, to execute every order they receive, but I'm sure there should be at least something more interesting to do, something more useful to do than those activities. Definitely not coloring the grass. Well, that was my experience, very controversial as you can see. I did enjoy spending time with my friends, but overall experience were very questionable once again to say the least. I cannot only imagine what is going through Russian armies right now with the war in Ukraine going on, how much propaganda is involved. This should be absolutely over the top, over the roof. And I do not envy those poor teenage almost conscripts who just go there thinking that the war is something romanticized event, something what they see on TV, and once again their reality is they literally shatter, fall apart as soon as they end up in Ukraine. Well, there you have it guys, thank you so much for watching. If this was an interesting video, please like it, subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. We continue our week of special episodes and see you on Friday.
We won't succumb to their tricks, the facade they try to sell. Their twisted words and feeble claims on us all they cannot quell. We see through their lies, their feeble attempts to sway. We do not believe in ridiculous Russian propaganda.